What's up, guys? How you doing? Otter here with a few more replays to share with you. Let's get right into it. First one from EXO. EXO is, of course, one of our resident Skaven experts. For some reason, he is always hiding under a desk or a hole or some nook and cranny. You never know. But once in a while, he emerges to take on crap like this. What is this? Oh my lord. 5 units of Way Watchers chevroned up to rank 9. This is memes for real. And then, of course, the Hawkeyes of Jakura, which come with the inherent max number of chevrons. Um, I don't know if maybe this is a ladder match. I don't know why you bring like that many Way Watchers against Skaven. You probably don't need the AP shooting. In this case, the Storm Vermin will be a good target for the Way Watchers, but outside of that, there's not a whole lot. We got Ikshin triads on the far Iksha's triads on the far flank. That's interesting. I haven't really seen that before. Are they? They don't have a vanguard. They do have a vanguard ability, so that's cool. I didn't realize they could vanguard. That's neat. Anytime you can vanguard a halberd or a spear unit, that gives you a lot of options. There's very few armies that have access to that. The wood elves have a spear unit that can do it. The high elves have a spear unit that can do that. But um, yeah, looks like Skaven do now too. Plague Priest in the back. We got Rat Ogres on the side, and then more Eshin Triads, who also have Vanguard ability, and then some Death Squad for the AP. Don't know if you need the AP against Wood Elf. Probably you can cut that because they don't have a lot of AP. But anyways, let's get into it. So over here we have the Gutter Runners with Poison. I'm just going to soak some damage. Manticore Summon coming up from Durthu, but no support heals for Durthu. So if you are going to bring Durthu, I would recommend bringing at least one sort of healer. So that could be a Branch Wraith, or it could be a Life, the old-fashioned Life Wizard. I don't know if that's a technical term for it on the Wood Elf roster. Spell Singer, I think it's called. But anyway, yeah. In the back, there are a couple more Death Runners, which I forgot to mention in the first place. So what is this Manticore going to do? It looks like it's going after the Rat Ogres. Not the worst choice in the world. Rat Ogres are a high mobility and very important to take out. Don't forget the Master Assassin is hidden right now, and it looks like the Plague Priest is being largely ignored. I think the best choice for the Manticore, I mean, again, I like the choice to go after the Rat Ogres, but I think the best choice would probably be the Plague Priest. So if it were me, that's why I would have sent the Manticore. In the frontline engagement, the Storm Ruin are being erased from the shooting, predictably. Over here, Durthu is going to interrupt some of this lowest tier stuff, the Skaven Slayers. And in the back, Unit of Clanrod Spears is going to be screening out the Way Watchers and soaking shots. So they're going to get erased, but they are drawing out very valuable ammunition from 3 units of Way Watchers. Balance Bar very much in favor of the Wood Elves right now, but we shall see how that pans out. Fair Manticore has been defeated by the Master Assassin plus the Rat Ogres, so in a little bit deep there. It's just a summon though, so it is a bit of a throwaway. Here comes Manticore number 2. Likely this one's going to go after the Plague Priest, having learned that this one didn't have a lot of success, but we shall see how that develops. So the Clan Rat unit in the back is broken, but here come the Death Runners, and some aggregate damage from Gutter Runners with slings is probably going to start chipping down these Hawkeyes of Jakira. Durthu is going to be able to do pretty much whatever he wants, but actually these Storm Vermin holding tough. Although they are wavering, they've cut up half a unit of Glaive Guards, so that's pretty nice stuff. Manticore are going to go into the back of these Storm Vermin and break them off. That's a good choice, because they were wavering, and the terror of the Manticore was enough to break them, so I like that play from the Wood Elf player. So with them gone, that frees up a unit of spears, which he can send to do other things. I don't know what he's going to send the spears to. Maybe he'll just keep them around Durthu. Durthu's getting hit by a unit of Iksha's Triads right now, so certainly he's going to want a little bit of a buffer to avoid that. But I think a little bit of micro attention is being taken away from Durthu at this point in time to deal with basically the Skaven like swamping these Way Watchers in the back. Now, one thing about Skaven is they don't have cavalry, but they do have very good foot speed. 54 foot speed on these Death Runners means that they are fast enough to catch the Way Watchers, who only have a speed of 40. So these are some turbo rats, because Way Watchers are not slackers on foot either. These Extant Triads, speed of 47, so actually they're able to catch the Way Watchers as well, which is a little bit shocking. Now the ROR unit does have a smoke bomb, so they could have popped that and then run away. So that's this unit here. And I didn't see the smoke bomb go down, but I mean they were next to the gutter runners with slingers. But yeah, with all those Way Watchers gone, I mean look at that value off of the board. Now it's Durthu versus the world, and I feel like it was a relatively easy game for Exo because I mean the foot speed of the Death Runners. Yeah, it caught them. I mean, so maybe I need to take back what I said. I said I didn't think there was a role for them in this matchup. Well, I'm not a Skaven player. I think Exo certainly showed what they can do with their speed. The snare nets from these guys can help too, but 47 speed. Yeah, Death Runners might be the fastest infantry on the Skaven roster. That is crazy fast. 54 speed. Like that's sort of monstrous infantry territory. Hi Sadao. Hi, Nameless. Hope you guys are doing good. We got replay number 2. This one's featuring Sadao versus Tanker. Ooh, this will be a good one. So Sadao's playing Dark Elves, so obviously I'm cheering for him. And Tanker is playing Warriors Chaos, which is a faction that he doesn't have a ton of experience with, and he wanted to experiment with. And he mentioned that to me, but yeah, he's going with a pretty heavy infantry build. So Tanker tends to like to run Horde style armies. And with Chaos, the challenge is a lot of stuff is very expensive. So if you are going to try and go really wide with Chaos, you might find yourself cut short in certain areas. But wow, look at the size of this army. It is absolutely huge. So he does have Chaos Warhounds with Poison, which are his mobility and glue units, but he has a very, very, very large infantry core. So when you are running an infantry heavy army, like all your damage is in your infantry, you might want to keep these Warhounds in the back line. I would suggest putting them back here, and then you can use your infantry to tag everything in the front. And then the Warhounds are just going to be used to countercharge and basically glue things to your infantry. What you don't necessarily need to do is go after chasing Skirmish Cav. You just need to sort of let your infantry soak some shots, feed him these guys, Chaos Marauders. Square your Chaos Marauders up with the Dark Riders with repeater crossbows and let them shoot into your shields. Don't let them shoot you broadside. Like if they shoot you broadside, your shields aren't helping. It is gonna kill your models. You don't even need to catch the Dark Riders with repeater crossbows. You just need to screen them. And then obviously you need to countercharge. If the Dark Riders with shields come into your infantry, that's where you want your Chaos Warhounds to fight, but you want them to just fight at your infantry. You don't want to chase off of your infantry, so maybe put them in guard mode and just countercharge them on there. Anyways, front lines are meeting up, so Sadao's gone with a more static build. He has 3 repeater bolt throwers, and he's got Marathi on foot. So interesting that both players have chosen a foot lord. Marathi on foot versus Svigold on foot. Let's take a quick look at their speeds, see how they compare. Marathi's speed of 43, Svigold's speed of 40. So Marathi, if needed, can kite Prince Svigold. But of course, if she kites him, then that's going to leave her both thrower positions vulnerable. So interesting, a defensive build is putting here. So the Marauders can win against Dread Spears, but not when they've taken 75% of their damage just getting to the front line. These Forsaken are also getting chipped down from the repeater crossbows. Over here, Chaos Warhounds are in here, are trying to deal with a countercharge from some Cold One Knights, but at this point the charge from the Cold One Knights has already broken off a unit of Forsaken. So Forsaken do have kind of a iffy leadership. They're sort of like Witch Elves for the Chaos. They're sort of a midline unit, but you can use them to cut up infantry pretty quickly. They can be used in the front line against certain factions. Against Skaven, they're pretty good if Skaven has not cast Wither, which strips them of their armor. But yeah, look at these shots from the Dark Riders repeater crossbows. There's been no answer. There's been no infantry screen to kind of block off their shots. So they've been going straight into the flanks of the infantry, and it's been kind of a grindhouse just getting to the front lines. I'm not sure what the... so the Chaos could have countered the Dark Riders with repeater crossbows with skirmish cav of their own. At the very least, they would have been able to push the skirmish cav back, and at the most, they could have just dove the skirmish cav. Chaos skirmish cav in melee can probably outduel Dark Riders with repeater crossbows, and they also have fire at will, so you can actually just send them into melee and chase after Dark Riders with repeater crossbows. They'll trade shots, and they'll also be able to kill the Dark Riders with repeater crossbows. So I think Tanker's a little unsure what to do with these Chaos Warhounds. He's got a decision. Does he want to go into the back of these repeater bolt throwers? Does he want to rear charge these Chaos Knights, or does he want to chase after the Dark Riders with repeater crossbows? In the end, he opted to go into the Cold Blood Knights, but I think he could have shut down this repeater crossbow because it didn't look like the Cold Blood Knights were going anywhere, and I don't think their leadership was low enough that a rear charge from the Chaos Warhounds was going to break them. I think recognizing this, obviously Tanker, he's a good player. He swaps over and does shut down the bolt thrower, which is a nice play there from him. This other bolt thrower has been pulled off of the line because of the presence of Forsaken and other things, whereas this bolt thrower is still firing, but these Forsaken are chasing, and they could really be shutting down this second bolt thrower. All they have to do is really stand on where the batteries are. They can send something else to chase after that bolt thrower, in my opinion. As long as the crew is off, then it's okay, but Tanker has finished off that crew, so not too bad. I'm assuming Svigald is okay in here. Close balance of power right now. You can see that it's getting a little bit scrambly for the Dark House. The Dread Spheres, who had been holding the line up front, have now fallen into the back line. Crews are off of their bolt throwers. All that's left here really is this one unit of Blades of the Blood Queen. But the Blades of the Blood Queen is, they're the real deal. And they're also giving the Guardian proc to Marathi, which is a nice little buff to her resistance in this duel against Svigald. But Svigald should get the better of her. I think he is a better duelist. She's kind of a hybrid caster. Let's see if her attack, see, her melee attack and debuffs are not going to do too much to Svigald because he has melee attack in the 50s and 60s. So where you get the most value from Marathi's melee attack debuffs is stuff with low melee attack. Things with high melee attack, like Forsaken, like Svigald, they're not going to have any problems getting through that. The melee attack of the Halberds, on the other hand, Halberds tend to have low melee attack, and that's going down to 12. So they're struggling in a situation where they're matched up against Marathi. There is not a lot of large here, so the Chaos Warriors with Halberds are a bit out of their element. And these Blades of the Blood Queen are very fortunate that there's no sort of magical spell from Chaos. Usually, like, if you see Blades of the Blood Queen as a Chaos player, you are licking your lips because all it takes is one pendulum and you can delete half a unit and net yourself 700 gold. Or you can drop one Pit of Shades and do the same thing if they're balled up like this, because that's a 1500 gold unit. But Tanker doesn't have any shooting, so he has no choice but to fight these Blades of the Blood Queen in combat, and I think that's just a weakness in the roster that Tanker's brought from a diversity point of view. Over here, Chaos Warriors with Halberds are taking a lot of shots in the back from these Dark Riders with repeater crossbows. So Sadao has been able to get maximum value out of his skirmish cavalry, that's for sure. On the other hand, I do think this pocket is starting to, well, maybe not though, because I think these Blades of the Blood Queen are just mulching everything. So, you know, Executioners are no joke. To take on Executioners, like, Executioners can be chosen with great weapons. So, if you are Chaos and you're going to try and out-grind the Dark Elves in melee, you want to consider bringing at least a Pendulum and probably a Pit of Shades as well. You do have access to dark magic, so that's certainly an option. Nice rear charge here from Sadao, a little cheeky one. Because the Dread Spheres are wavering, that might be enough to break the leadership of these Chaos Warriors with Halberds if he doesn't take too much damage from his Dark Riders with repeater crossbows. It looks like they're out of ammo anyways, so not a bad choice. They could maybe pull back and get one more rear charge in there, but the front line is completely broken for the Chaos Warriors, and I chalk that up to the damage output from these Blades of the Blood Queen. Let's take a quick look at their kills. 287 kills. That is absolutely savage. So, like, I mean, oh my god, if you like the Blades of the Blood Queen, this is a match that highlights just how vicious these killers are. They just wrecked some pretty high, like, I won't say high tier, but like definitely mid-tier quality Chaos Infantry. No problems whatsoever. So great stuff there. Tanker, if you're going to run a Horde army, you should still probably bring a caster. You can get a caster cheap. It'll cost you $300. $400 if you run them on foot with just Pendulum. And you would have been able to double that value with a single cast of Pendulum on the Blades of the Blood Queen. I love the Blades of the Blood Queen, but I almost never bring them just because they're so vulnerable to Vortex spells and shooting, and almost every faction brings Vortex spells and shooting. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that battle, but well played to both players. It was pretty intense and fun. Now we've got another game here from Sixpath, who's playing the Greenskins against Skaven. Now Sixpath is still kind of learning the game in some ways, so we'll see if we can, coach them along, or find some pointers for either side. I have not seen this battle. We'll see how it goes. So Six Path is bringing Azheg on the Wyvern, I assume, and the Arachnarok Queen. So I really like that build. I think Azheg is a super fun. Um, I'm assuming he's on the mount. He is. He is a super fun lord, and if you don't have to worry about like opposing air, then he could be a great choice. He can terror route stuff. He can spirit leech things from afar. Like you can spirit leech the Skaven leadership, which is really nice. Um, yeah. So we'll see how it goes. The Arachnarok Queen is always awesome because she gives you access to tons of summons. But look at this Thief Robber's Chariot getting absolutely plowed off the bat from the shots from this Zap Zap cannon, I'm assuming. There's a Zap Zap cannon. There's a second Warp Lightning cannon. And then there's an infantry screen on the back. Boobles are rocking in the middle. There's a Grey Sierra Plague. Let's take a look at the loadout on the Grey Sierra Plague. Pretty standard stuff here. You've got Clan Rat summons, the Vermintide, Plague, and then Dreaded 13 spell is a little bit uncommon. And there's of course the Scorch, which is I believe the bounce spell on the mount, which is kind of a nice option if you're expecting to see a lot of greenskin infantry. The Skulkers, I don't think they're really in their element against Skaven. I would probably just go with regular Night Goblins. Night Goblins with Poison will do very well against almost all of the Skaven infantry unless they go like Sword and Board Storm Vermin, and like I said, they're pretty off meta right now. So it's not likely you'll see too many of them. Goblin Big Boss getting shredded from shooting right now. He's already lost half of his HP. I would expect that the balance bar is probably going to go in favor of Skaven early on. Goblin Big Boss is... maybe this is a sacrificial lamb strategy. I'm not really sure. He is balling up the Skaven Spears and other things. It is creating an opportunity for a side charge here and potentially a rear charge here as well. So, I mean, if you're the Skaven player, you can just back up from the Goblin Big Boss and shore that up. He does have the Spears in reserve that he could send in, so we'll see. There's also Grey Seer play, but what's absent from this build is the Rat Ogres. There's nothing to really pin these Boar Boys in place, or the big ones in place. And they're getting in a nice charge here on the Teethbreaker, so good stuff there from Six Path. I like that. Over here, the Skulkers, I mean, the one advantage that they do have is they can sulk around and come in undetected. And it looks like there's a little bit of a slow reaction from the Skaven player here as the Skulkers walk right up into the Zap Zap cannon. But they should be able to maybe take it offline. Over here, is that a Fate of Buna? Fate of Buna is being cast on the Storm Vermin. It's a summon, I believe. Is that the summon or their halberds? No. I'm having a hard time figuring that out. But if it's a summon, you certainly don't want to cast the 20 Winds of Magic Fate of Buna on the summon. If it's not, my apologies. Using it on the halberds is certainly a good choice. Of course, you don't want to usually dive Azhag into halberds because that's sort of the counter to Azhag. I would send Azhag after the Grey Seer of Plague, or use him to support the fight against these Warp Lightning Cannons. Just get those offline. If those Warp Lightning Cannons were firing at Azhag, as they should be, then Azhag would probably be dead by now. So I think it's just a question of priority targeting, and I think there's maybe a little bit of anarchy going on right now, so a bit of uncertainty from both players perhaps. The Warp Lightning Cannons are still shooting at the Teethbreaker's Chariot, so maybe they're serving as a bit of a diversion here. They're only about 500 gold for that Goblin Wolf Chariot, which is way less expensive than Azhag. So if you're the Skaven player, you certainly want to snipe Azhag off the map before that Chariot. Over here we have the Goblin Big Boss getting into it with the Assassin, supported by his infantry and some shooting from the Thief Robbers. Surprisingly, he's able to break that Assassin off, so that's a win for the Greenskins. Meanwhile, the backline is complete anarchy. It looks like the Skulkers are able to chase off the Rattling Guns. These Orc Boar Boys are doing whatever they want because there's no Rat Ogres to support them, and Azhag has found his way onto the target that he should have been or that he most coveted here, which is the Grey Seer Plague. If you can kill the Grey Seer Plague, then I think it's Greenskin's match to win, because that shuts down the summons, it shuts down the leadership, and that's a big pickup. So shots here from the Goblin Wolfrider Chariot, just helping out here. Boar Boys Azhag going to finish that off, and I think we can see which way this is going. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit here. We'll just watch sort of the nail in the coffin, let's say, and congrats to Six Path on a win there. I like the Azhag pick. I think just some priority targeting there could have been helpful, and other than that, it was fun to watch. Okay, take care, guys. Hope you have fun. Bye.